Good evening, everybody. This is Rich. I'd like to welcome you to a special Saturday night edition of Cheap Red Wine, the show in which I have a sip of cheap red wine and talk about stuff. Tonight, Tom Jones. Now, I'd like to thank tonight's executive producer. Her name is Trish Valentine, and she heads the Patricia C. Valentine Institute for Pop Culture Awareness. Trish sent in 5 very good suggestions, and the one I'm choosing to talk about tonight is Tom Jones. So I'm sitting here tonight listening to my copy of the Tom Jones Fever Zone. So while you're watching this, you can consider yourself to be in the Tom Jones Fever Zone. That's right. This is a typical Tom Jones album from the 1960s. It has one of his big hits on it, Delilah, but it also has a collection of, a typically eclectic collection of Tom Jones cover versions. He does Danny Boy on it, he does James Brown's It's a Man's World, he does You Keep Me Hanging On, the old Supreme song, but he also does Funny How Time Slips Away, which is a song written by Willie Nelson. So in a way, this album shows the range of what Tom Jones did and has always done. So, how did I first get into Tom Jones, you might be wondering? Well, I'll tell you. When I was a young kid, I began my record collection with a series of 45 RPM singles that were handed down to me from various aunts of mine. And interestingly enough, this is something I'm going to be discussing more in the next cheap red wine I make. A few of the singles that I got from these sources were Tom Jones singles. Here's one of them. The A-side is Daughter of Darkness, which some of you might know of. It's one of his bigger hits from the mid-60s, mid to late 60s I'd say actually. And the B-side is a song called Tupelo, Mississippi Flash. Not a hit, totally a B-side, but it was written by Jerry Reed. And there seems to be a little bit of an Elvis thing going on. It's Tupelo, Mississippi, where Elvis was born. And I remember very well loving my 2 Tom Jones singles that I had. And this is an envelope that I wrote on probably 20 years ago. It says Tom Jones, Daughter of Darkness, Tupelo, Mississippi Flash. But when I was a really young kid, I had a toy record player. And I really liked playing Tom Jones records because they were on the Parrot record label, Parrot Record Company, and which was a product of London Records. I really enjoyed playing these because I liked to watch the parrot spinning around the turntable as I played the record. I remember that distinctly. Along the way, I decided I liked the songs too. So that was probably 40 years ago. I was probably literally 5 or 6 years old when I first heard Tom Jones. Now, of course, growing up in the 70s, as I did, by that time Tom's recording career had kind of faded a little bit for the time being, but he was still a huge concert draw, so much so that I know that my mom and dad went to see Tom Jones at the Valley Forge Music Fair at some point. I think probably in the 70s. So Tom was never really far from my mind. Gradually, I began to acquire more Tom Jones singles, and through various flea markets and yard sales that I went to, I picked up other albums in addition to the Tom Jones Fever Zone. Here's Tom Jones Live at Caesar's Palace. This is a great one. This is Tom Jones. I Who Have Nothing, Tom Jones. Tom Jones Live in Las Vegas. And what better place to see Tom Jones than Las Vegas? Exactly. Tom Jones sings She's a Lady, and Tom Jones plays pool on the back cover. Tom Jones, Funny, Familiar, Forgotten Feelings. A little alliteration from Tom Jones. Tom Jones Live, Talk of the Town. Live at the Talk of the Town. This is an early live Tom Jones album. And of course, Tom Jones, What's New Pussycat. One of Tom's early hits, and just a generally great song. I remember Donna and I saw K.D. Lang live on Valentine's Day quite a few years ago now. She played at the Tower Theater and she sang What's New Pussycat. And the crowd was enthralled, I can tell you that. So what is it about Tom Jones that makes him so great? Well, he's a killer performer. Donna and I, kind of reiterating my parents' concert visit in the 70s, saw Tom Jones at Valley Forge also. We saw him probably around 1994 at the Valley Forge Music Fair, and he put on a killer show. He did many of his hits. He did Delilah, he did It's Not Unusual, but he also did Purple Rain. He did Come Together. He did that old, not, it's not old, but that song, what's old now, but that song Unbelievable by EMF, you know, it's unbelievable. Tom Jones, we saw him do that. Great performer, a lot of fun. We had a great time, and, you know, the voice was there, everything. It was just a great show. And, but what's really interesting about Tom Jones, I think, is underneath all the you know, Vegas-y sexiness and lounginess, if you will, and all that, he's a pretty seriously cool guy and a great singer, great interpreter of a variety of types of music. He can do country, he can do R&B, he can do more modern stuff. In fact, his album from a few years ago is called 24 Hours, and I highly recommend this album. It's a great album. There's some very fun, typical Tom Jones type, like It's Not Unusual type songs on it. But then he stretches out a little bit too. He does a Springsteen song on it. So it's called 24 Hours, and I think you ought to go pick it up right now. So, Tom Jones, he's the man, really. Seriously, I think you just need to go out and buy as many Tom Jones albums as you can. That's what I think. So, I'm going to keep this short tonight. These last couple CRWs have been kind of rambling things. But I would suggest Tom Jones. Check him out if you haven't already. Get him in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, for God's sakes. You know, why not? And was there anything else I want to thank Trish Valentine again as executive producer of this episode, and I think we'll be hearing her name again as I tackle future episodes that she has suggested. And thank all my executive producers. They've all contributed to Relay for Life, and I appreciate it. Thanks for your support.